Welcome to my very first solo Valheim series. I've spent countless hours in the world of Valheim, but like so many others, I've never actually seen it through to the end. So this time, I'm setting out to not only beat the game, but thrive along the way. This isn't a speedrun or a hardcore challenge, it's a journey. Sure, I'll be tracking my in-game days, but more importantly, I want to take my time to explore, build, and experiment. Along the way, I'll be trying out different combat styles, improving my builds, and hopefully creating something that's both fun to watch and satisfying to play. So if you're interested in following me along the way, I'm more than happy for you to join me on my adventure. Dropping into the meadows, I had a couple of things in mind for the first few days. Get some resources so I can get some good equipment, and just explore the island to see where I want to build my first base. As I picked up my first couple of stones, sticks, and broke a couple of trees, I was able to get my first few weapons and kill my first deer. Along with exploring the island, I wanted to make sure that I could kill Eikthyr as early as possible. The reason I want to kill him so quick is not only to get the pickaxe, but also because one of the mods that I'm playing with is the Valheim Armory mod. What this mod does is adds a whole new level of weapons to the game, which include a lot of weapons that you can make with the drops from the bosses. There's a couple of other mods that I'm playing with, and I'll explain those a little later once they come into play. As I was exploring the edge of the island, I found a boar stone, where I was able to kill a lot more boar, get some hide and meat, and I marked that on the map so I could go back later for more. I then made myself a crafting station where I was able to upgrade a little bit more of my gear and plan out what other equipment I wanted to make next. Once it came to nighttime, I made sure to take a seat by the fire so I could get my rested bonus back, and then kept exploring because the meadows isn't that dangerous at night. During the daytime, we started to explore the outskirts of some of the Black Forest, and we even found our first copper node, so I made sure to mark that on the map for once we had our pickaxe, but the Greydos were trying their hardest to stop me from doing that. Once I had it marked on the map, I did my best to get away from them, fighting back whenever I needed to, but we got away in the end. By this point, my inventory was getting pretty full, so I decided it was probably time to start building a temporary base where I could start dropping off some of my stuff. I'm sure you'll notice as I'm flattening the ground here, it looks a lot more square than with your normal hoe in the Valheim game. And this is just because this is one of the other mods that I have installed, which just helps to make terrain manipulation a little bit more simple, makes it a little bit easier to get the terrain nice and flat, and makes base building just a much more enjoyable experience. I then started placing some of the wooden foundation for the house, but I really didn't have much of a plan for what I wanted the house to look like in the end. I just kind of figured start placing some stuff and it'll kind of work itself out in the end, especially since I'm not really planning on staying in this house for very much longer once I finish it. I then decided to place down my plan totem, which is just part of one of the other mods that I have installed, which helps to plan some of the base builds that you create. The way it works is you have what's called a plan hammer, which then allows you to place down walls and such as if they're real. However, once you place them, you can actually just walk straight through them, and that just allows you to visualize what it may look like. You then have to walk up to the plan totem. It then tells you how much materials you need. You then place those materials inside of the container. Once you place them in, it places it on the wall, and then it's a normal wall. One other mod that I have installed to help with base building is called the build camera, which just allows me to fly around with a third-person camera when it comes to building a base, and this just allows you to place items in a bit of an easier way when you can't quite reach those hard to reach places. At this point, the base is completed for the most part, and so I can start organizing my inventory a bit, throwing some things in the chests, and then as you can see, I have 4 deer trophies there, and so I am basically ready to go summon Eikthyr and start fighting him. Now, I do apologize because I don't actually have the gameplay audio for the Eikthyr fight, but I will still have the music, so it'll just be a couple minutes of Eikthyr fighting and Eikthyr music. Now, as we can see, we have access to the pickaxe now, but we also have a couple of weapons available to us as well, and so that's from that armory mod that I mentioned earlier. So I'm going to be bringing back the trophy to the Forsaken Stones, but I'm also planning on fighting Eikthyr another couple of times so I can get those weapons. I've now crafted up the pickaxe, and it's time to get ourselves some copper. But before we do that, we will probably need to hit some crypts first, because I don't believe we have any Surtling cores yet, so not really much of a point in getting the copper if we can't even smelt it, so we'll be searching around the Black Forest a little bit first to find some of that. As we were searching in the Black Forest, we found ourselves a troll cave, which we will be coming back to again later on. to get some more troll hide for some armor. We've got quite a few tin nodes right there as well, so seems like a pretty decent spot. Still haven't found a crypt yet, but we did find the Elder Stone, so we at least know where the Elder is now, and so we will be sailing to that quite soon, because I want to be able to get into some crypts in the swamp too, and get some iron going after we mine some of the copper. Now, after about 30 minutes of searching, finally found a crypt. Was way too difficult, but hey, we found it now, and yeah, time to go. But as you can see, all I have is club, wood shield, and one piece of armor, so the skeletons kind of bullied me out of here, especially because it was a ghost. If it was just the two skeletons, wouldn't have really been that big of a deal, but because the ghost was there, I really had to play this quite a bit differently than I normally would have, so I of course had to retreat out of there after getting staggered a couple times. So made sure to mark it on the map, and started to head home, so we made sure to get a little bit more armor before we actually head back in there. That way we know for sure we won't die. And we're back, all healed up and ready to take on the skeletons. So it's like we just decided to switch to the knife instead of the club there, just because I think it's a little bit of a faster attacking speed, so works against the ghost a little bit better. Even though we did start to damage the ghost a decent amount, once the skeletons started making their way back in, knew I was going to get overrun, so had to head back out. Back in for the third time. Finally fighting these guys a little bit more. They're all pretty low, so able to clear them out and check out what the crypt has in for store for us. And we were actually able to find quite a few cores here, so it was definitely a very good run for us. And just because we're playing on 1.5 resource gathering, we were able to get out of there with more than 10 Surtling cores actually, so we were able to get both a kiln and a furnace. And since we had all those Surtling cores, on my way back home, decided to start mining our first copper deposit and get ourselves into the Bronze Age once we get back to the base. Once we picked up what we could, we set off back to the base and started smelting. Then we started to place a little bit of storage for the smelting area, just nothing very fancy, but something to hold the coal and ores while we do our thing. Then once we had them all filled up, we went to sleep, so they were all ready for us in the morning. By this point, we kind of realized we were probably needing some armor, so we decided to make ourselves some leather armor. And as you can see there, we don't actually have any leather in our inventory, so that's where another one of our little quality of life mods has come into play. We just have craft from containers, so we have deer hide in one of the chests that's right beside the crafting station, so as long as it's there, I can craft whatever I want from the crafting station without actually having to look through all the chests. At this point, I wanted to place myself a forge, that way I can start getting some copper made up and get some copper nails, or bronze nails, that is. That way we can get a cart made, and then we'll be able to bring over a lot more ores from the deposits back to the base. At this point, it was time to gather some more copper, so we got what we could from here, and then after we got about 10 or 15, we then decided to head down towards the shoreline so we can get a little bit of tin. But as we started walking over there, we actually saw our first troll, so I decided it was time to fight it and get ourselves our first troll armor. And as we made our way back to the house, we started cooking up some coal and smelting our ores again. And now that we have some tin, we'll be able to actually make some bronze, get that cart going, and then we'll make this a little bit of a quicker process. Now that I was spending a little bit more time in the Black Forest, I was getting a little bit tired of the flint knife, so I decided to fight Eikthyr 2 more times so I can get his antler knife and get that upgraded a little bit too, so I can have a bit of a more enjoyable weapon. So after defeating him again, went back to base, got the antler knife, and safe to say it does much more damage than the flint knife, so it will be much more enjoyable to use. I did start mining up a little bit more copper and tin now that I had access to a cart, so I will be able to progress into the Bronze Age a little bit more, and then we will sail over to the Elder a little bit later. As we have progressed into the Bronze Age a little bit further, I'd think it's safe to say that that's it for episode 1. I'd say it was fairly successful. Didn't have any deaths. Got ourselves some decent weapons, and safe to say we'll be sailing across to the Elder come the next episode. So if you enjoyed this episode, feel free to give me a follow. Shoot me a like. I will be trying my best to post these episodes at least once a week, so I look forward to seeing you in the next one.